Welcome to Great Overload. I'm Anthony, and let's talk a little bit about the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck. Now, Steam is claiming this is going to be the most powerful, most gaming power you've ever held in your hand, which could very well be the case. It's got some really interesting specs, and it's something I really would like to try out. I don't do that much handheld gaming. I don't even game on my phone, right? If I'm in a game, I pick up a controller, go to the Xbox, pick up a keyboard and mouse, game on my computer, or even I'm testing out a Linux box as well here to play on that just to see if it's capable. Um, I I like to see Windows to do a lot more stuff for Linux, right? Reduce the amount of services and everything else run, but Linux already has that, right? So I've been trying that out. One downside to this, right? And this is running SteamOS 3.0, which is an Arch variant of Linux. So your Windows games will run on basically kind of like Proton. I think they call it Proton layer, which is fine, except I hopefully that they can get everything kind of working. So people that may have an outlier game that maybe hasn't been tested as well or tested at all will still work on this device. Now it is a PC overall, so you can install Windows if you want, which is pretty cool that they're treating this like a complete computer. They're not going through and saying, "Hey, this is something else." But you have, it's all portability here. You can see somebody playing it and the controls, how they are. And until I get it into my hands, I'm really not going to know how it feels for me. But I'm guessing they did some testing to kind of make sure it's comfortable, right? They even say it's comfortable, powerful, and versatile. And we'll jump into the hardware here in a little bit. You get all your Steam games. By the way, you can have your other gaming libraries on here too installed to be able to play those as well, which is another huge benefit of this is that it's not just for Steam, it's for your games, right? It's for gaming. They have a little trackpad there, which I think is a good touch as well, because sometimes, when games don't work with your joysticks, you have that to fall back on. Um, More about the software, but let's get into the prices here. So you have three storage options: the 64 gig, which is eMMC. I think that that's going to be a little tight. Now, I would like to see this maybe at 350, 300, someplace in there. And then you would have brought your next one in at about 425. That's what I would have liked to seen at 256 gigs. Um, or made it so, and we'll see this once we go into this full hardware specs, but that 256 gig NVMe one, you have the option that, well, not only is it much faster storage, right, but that I guess the NVMe slot is on each device. It's just you'd have to crack open the device and make it there. But if Steam had the forethought to actually make that interchangeable and easy to be accessed, that would have been a huge benefit, right? Because then you could have swapped out and put even a full terabyte in here and kept the price down more, making the barrier to entry. Let's say you did 64 gigs at eMMC. That's where you're running your OS and everything else, and then maybe you do a 450 option, or even just 450 option for like 128 gigs of NVMe, and then use a replaceable, right? And that would have been pretty sweet deal overall, I think, on being able to do it. Now you also can jump up for, so that was 256 is $530, and then you got $650 for the 512, which is getting pretty steep, right? Now it is a portable device. However, I would like to if you would have been able to have that user replaceable, you could have kept these prices down, got the barrier entry, more people jumping on this device, and then users could then just upgrade it whenever they needed that space or wanted to get that space. So, um, let's see. Yeah, Steam Deck here ships December 2021 in the United States, Canada, European Union, and the United Kingdom. More regions coming in 2022. So, that's your initial availability. Let's jump over to hardware here, and you got the comfort stuff. You got the 7-inch touchscreen, the trackpads, the gyro. Then here's the thumbsticks, triggers, grip buttons. So you got a lot of stuff there. And I think it's going to take some time as you see this person playing Doom Eternal. I'd actually like to see this in person, see how it is running on the hardware. It looks pretty good though from this angle, and of course, until I actually get close up, it's going to be really hard to compare. But you can have fast storage with your NVMe. You got audio, 40 watt hour battery, wireless. Now it does come with expandable I/O where you can do an SD card. One interesting thing for me is how is the SD card going to be um, running your games? How fast is it? So on the eMMC, right, you can put in the micro SD card. It's supposed to instantly just show up your library. So that's one huge benefit, right? If you have multiple SD cards, and multiple SD cards have different speeds. So my suggestion is get the fastest one you can for this, because if you're going to be playing games, you're going to want them to load pretty quickly. And yeah, you want that. So, whoa, so it's going to play nice with all your accessories. That's going to be pretty cool, especially for accessibility. I think that's a good move here by Valve. And of course, it's on Linux, so I'm guessing there's going to be some implementation Valve's going to have to do to help out with that, maybe. And if that's the case, that's going to be let's say this takes off. Let's say that a lot of people do it, and especially in the accessibility realm, people are using it. Well, now all these peripherals and accessories that are very important to them will be implemented into Linux, getting Linux more well-rounded and better support for all these peripherals, which I'm a huge fan of. I like Linux to take off a little bit more here, especially in the gaming aspect of it, because I think there's a lot of performance left on the table with Windows, and I think that Windows needs a competitor to get whipped them into shape a little bit. And having this being able to be plugged into your TV is also, or a monitor, is also pretty cool. There's a dock as well, which I think is just natural, right? Let's say that you want to have one device. This is it. And eventually, I think APUs could be one device, right, that runs everything. Jumping ahead of myself here, but it is an AMD APU, CPU and GPU on the same die, and I think that there's a huge benefit there. So here we go with some of the features. You're going to have remote play, Steam chat. I guess then you can even play off your desktop, right, if you're on the same network. That's one way around to some of your Windows games that might not play properly on Linux. That's actually not a bad idea. You have all your cloud saves. It's a Steam, right? So you'll still have your Steam there. You'll have your navigation. You basically have everything, which is what we'd want on having a handheld device, right? And this is their new Steam operating system. It's based on Arch, and it comes with Proton, a compatibility letter to make your games run without porting from the developer. So, yeah, I mean, eventually, hopefully, that they get the anti-cheat as well working. I know that they were working on that. I don't know if it's fully done yet, but that's something I probably could look up later. But if they get that all ironed out, that's going to be really good. So let's jump into the tech specs, the really fun stuff, or the stuff I like a lot. You have your D-pad, your view, your thumbstick, your mic, touchscreen, another mic. You have your speakers, Steam trackpad, right speaker, so that must be a Steam button. Quick access, trackpad, menu, thumbsticks, A, B, X, Y keys, your status LED power button, your your triggers, your fan. So it does have a fan, that's good to know. And then head jack, volume up, down, left, right, and then you have your back buttons here, and you have your micro SD card. So it has an AMD APU, so it's a Zen 2 based on 4 cores and 8 threads, and it goes up to 3.5 gigahertz boost, which is pretty impressive. 2.4 base, so we're getting really close to, some of the consoles can do here. I think the Xbox One X is clocked at 3.6. I can't remember what the PS5 is. I think it's around 365 or something like that too. You have 8 RDNA 2 compute units, and those are clocked at 1 gigahertz to 1.6. And remember, this screen is kind of small overall. It's only a 7-inch diagonal, so you're not trying to power a huge 4K display. You're powering with a lot of pixels. You're powering something with pretty limited pixels, so you can take advantage of the smaller screen to have better power here. And it's only 4 to 15 watts, which that 15 watts for a handheld is actually pretty steep. However, if you're staying more at the 4 watts more often, that's going to be pretty impressive. Now, it does have 16 gigs of LPDDR5, and that's 5,500 mega transfers. And then here's your storages, right? So we have the 3 storages. Now, eMMC is only PCI Gen 2 by 1. Then when you jump up to your NVMe drives, you have PCIe Gen 3 by 4. And I don't know what they mean by one's high speed and one's not here. But, however, all models use a socketed 2230 M.2 module. But it's not intended for end user replacement. All models include the high-speed micro SD card slot. So, and then here's what I'm saying. If they had the forethought to actually have that, so you could just take a little screw or something and replace in the NVMe, that would be huge. Now, there probably going to be a whole bunch of people that put out videos to put in an NVMe drive, and if they do that, I think that might be a huge option. Everyone should have the right to upgrade or repair their products, so yeah, I'm fully on board with that. So they're just going through some of the gamepad controls, 2 thumbsticks, you have haptics, trackpads. They say that there's 55% better latency compared to the Steam controller. I didn't use the Steam controller, so I don't know how that would really compare. It's a 1280 by 800 pixel screen. So 7-inch diagonal, 400 nits, 60 hertz. Looks like it's fixed there. The one downside is it's fixed, right? It'd be kind of cool to have a range of, let's say even if it was down to like 30 some to, let's say 90 some, right? In that range, that'd be kind of cool. But doesn't yet. I mean, there's always improvement for the next version. Bluetooth 5. You have A, B, G, N, and AC Wi-Fi. You got your audio in your headphone jack. Your battery here is 40 watt hour, and you have a 45 watt USB-C power supply. That's a 2 to 8 hours of gameplay, depending upon what games you're playing. I really would like to see how long that lasts, because that could be interesting. Because 8 hours of gameplay, for me, that's a couple gaming sessions. A lot of gaming sessions. Let's not get into that. I don't play enough games right now, but that would be enough where I could just leave it around. I don't always have to worry about putting it on the charger, which is I think important. So your micro SD supports your SD, SDXC, and SDHC. Okay. And then USB-C is with DisplayPort 1.4. If you want 8K at 60 or 4K at 120, I guess. I mean, that's probably going to be you watching something and not playing a game. So the size is here at just 669 grams, and SteamOS, which is Arch based, and the desktop is a KDE Plasma. So they have developers here where you can go, and no porting required. I guess they don't really have much in developers, but then you can reserve it, and you go into Steam here, and here it is to reserve it. Wow, here you go. Unless I'm in a different country, but Q3, Q2 of 2022, that's pretty far off. So maybe they're getting a lot of reservations for this, which, good on Steam. I mean, the more people that get on another device that's not Windows to game will be what the developers will work towards eventually, or more importantly, help that Proton layer get a lot better and get Linux more readily available to play games on. Now, who knows? Maybe all these people are going to install Windows and it's going to be a mute point anyways. But I think that there is opportunity here. I do think that this little device with that APU in there from AMD is going to be very interesting to see how it plays games, see how it can basically compete with just every other handheld out there, right? You're competing with Nintendo, you're competing with some of these other handhelds that have came around. You know, Valve has a lot of money behind it, right? They have Steam and they have a lot of other stuff, and they have an opportunity to really kind of push. They could even push this device more if they really wanted to. However, we have seen some Valve products where they just throw them out the door and say we need to get rid of this too eventually. So that's something to keep in mind. I would like their VR headset from Valve. That would be another nice thing to try out. But they seem to put a lot of thought into this, so we will see. I can eventually see where a lot of people would use one device like this as their main computer, right? Dock it, take it on them with the Go, back and forth. I think that this is going to be a pretty fun device to see how it performs in the marketplace, and if it does well, see how games really perform, and see how Linux may take off in the future. So, I'm a little jaded here with some of the Windows stuff, but installing different things in here, installing different items of OSs or Linux, just having it a PC, I think is a very good thing that Valve did. Next generation is more than I'm sure Valve is gonna look at that, and if this is something that sells, have something. But it's an interesting device. Is it? Do I want to try it out? Absolutely. Now, do I know certain people that friends of mine that are saying, "Hey, I always do on my desktop. I don't need this." Yes, absolutely too. And this isn't for everybody. So, if it's something that where you play games on the go, you have a commute, and you're not driving, um, you're on planes a lot. Heck, even if I wonder if it can do multiple profiles, and if it can, then you and your kids or whatever else have a wife or significant other. You have a very good opportunity to share it with them when you're not playing or you're gone. So let me know what your thoughts are on the Steam Deck. I'm really interested. Love to try it out. Who knows if I'll be able to get one. Looks like a lot of these reservations now are out there in 2022 by a whole quarter or a couple quarters. So that's I have to assume that that's going to be a good sign for Valve on a lot of reservations. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I enjoy reading them and seeing where you're coming from on these. And until next time, God bless, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.